Why are eggs, sodas, and donuts sold by the dozen? The sale of eggs, sodas, and donuts by the dozen is a common practice in many parts of the world, particularly in countries like the United States. This seemingly arbitrary number has a long history rooted in both practicality and tradition, spanning several industries and centuries. To understand why eggs, sodas, and donuts are sold by the dozen, it's essential to explore the historical, mathematical, and cultural factors behind this custom. The practice of selling goods by the dozen has roots that go back to ancient times, particularly in civilizations that relied on a duodecimal, base 12 system for counting. The base 12 system was widely used by ancient societies such as the Babylonians, Sumerians, and Egyptians, and it had practical applications in trade, commerce, and mathematics. The number 12 has several advantages over other numbers because it can be divided by 2, 3, 4, and 6, making it highly versatile in dividing goods into equal portions. This versatility made it easier to split quantities in a marketplace setting, where sellers and buyers could divide a dozen items into smaller portions if needed. The use of the base 12 system continued throughout history, influencing modern trade practices. In medieval Europe, the number 12 became even more entrenched in commerce due to the introduction of the dozen as a standard unit of measurement. For instance, a baker's dozen, which consists of 13 items, originated in medieval England. This was a practice by bakers to avoid penalties for selling underweight bread, as bread was sold by weight rather than by the number of loaves. To ensure they met the required weight, bakers would add an extra loaf, creating a baker's dozen. While this specific tradition is mostly associated with bread, the concept of using a dozen as a base unit carried over into other food items such as eggs and donuts. Eggs are perhaps the most well-known item sold by the dozen, and this practice has deep roots in both tradition and practicality. Historically, eggs were sold in quantities that were convenient for both farmers and consumers. The dozen became the standard unit because it was easily divisible, making it simple for customers to buy smaller or larger amounts depending on their needs. If a customer only needed 6 eggs, they could purchase half a dozen. This flexibility made it a practical choice for consumers with varying household sizes. Furthermore, eggs are a product that lends itself to bulk purchasing. Chickens naturally lay eggs in quantities that align well with selling them in dozens, as a single chicken can lay about an egg per day. This means that farmers could easily collect eggs in groups of 12 over a short period, making the dozen a logical unit for packaging and selling. While eggs have a long history of being sold by the dozen, sodas are a more recent addition to the list of items commonly packaged this way. The sale of sodas by the dozen is closely tied to the development of packaging and the rise of mass-produced beverages in the 20th century. Before the widespread use of aluminum cans and plastic bottles, sodas were often sold in glass bottles, which were heavy and fragile. As the popularity of carbonated beverages grew, manufacturers needed to find efficient ways to package and transport large quantities. In the mid-20th century, soda companies began selling their products in 6-pack and 12-pack configurations to cater to both individual consumers and families. The 12-pack became particularly popular because it was an affordable option for families or individuals who wanted to buy in bulk. Like the dozen in other products, 12-packs offered a practical balance between quantity and cost, providing consumers with enough soda to last for several days or weeks without being overly burdensome to carry or store. Donuts, like eggs, are often sold by the dozen or baker's dozen, a tradition that dates back to the origins of bakeries in Europe and the Americas. As mentioned earlier, the baker's dozen arose as a way for bakers to ensure they were providing customers with enough bread by adding an extra loaf to make up for potential shortfalls in weight. This practice carried over into other baked goods, including donuts, pastries, and cookies. In the case of donuts, selling by the dozen became a standard practice in the 20th century as donut shops and bakeries became more common in urban areas. For businesses, selling a dozen donuts was a practical choice because it allowed them to offer a significant quantity of product at a reasonable price. A dozen donuts were enough to feed a small group or family, making it an attractive option for customers looking to purchase breakfast or snacks for multiple people. From a marketing perspective, selling donuts by the dozen also allowed bakeries to offer discounts and promotions, encouraging customers to buy in larger quantities. This practice helped increase sales, as customers would often purchase a dozen even if they did not initially intend to buy that many. The concept of a baker's dozen, 13 donuts for the price of 12, further incentivized bulk purchases by giving customers the impression of getting more value for their money. One of the key reasons that eggs, sodas, and donuts are sold by the dozen is the mathematical convenience of the number 12. As mentioned earlier, 12 is divisible by a wide range of numbers, making it easier to split into smaller portions. This flexibility is especially important in retail and food service industries, where products need to be divided or grouped in ways that are convenient for customers. For example, if a customer only wants half a dozen eggs or donuts, they can easily purchase 6. Similarly, soda companies can sell 6-packs or 12-packs without the need for complex pricing structures. This simplicity in division makes the dozen a highly practical unit for selling goods in bulk. Additionally, the dozen fits well with the way humans perceive numbers and quantities. Research in psychology suggests that humans have a natural preference for certain numbers, and 12 is one of those numbers because of its divisibility and symmetry. This may explain why the dozen has persisted as a standard unit of measurement for so long, even as other numerical systems have evolved. The practice of selling eggs, sodas, and donuts by the dozen is a tradition that has deep historical roots, practical advantages, and cultural significance. The number 12, with its divisibility and mathematical convenience, has made it an ideal unit for trade and commerce, particularly in industries where bulk purchases are common. Whether it's eggs in a carton, sodas in a 12-pack, or donuts in a bakery box, the dozen offers a practical, efficient, and familiar way for businesses to package and sell their products. This practice has endured for centuries and shows no signs of fading, reflecting both the power of tradition and the inherent utility of the dozen in everyday life.